Welcome to the Answers for Elders radio show. Meet the trusted experts who will give you straight answers and will help guide you on the path of later life care. Now, here's your host, founder, caregiver, and CEO, Suzanne Newman.
And welcome back, everyone, to Answers for Elders Radio Network, heard across the USA and on podcasts. Make sure to check us out on your favorite podcast platform. And we are here talking about expanding your mind with intellectual wellness with Susan Black, who is the CEO of Wowzitude, WOWZITUDE.com. And Susan and I are talking about expanding your mind through learning cultures and things through immersive live stream experience virtually. And Susan, welcome back to the show. I'm so glad you're with us this hour.
Thank you, Suzanne. I'm thrilled to be here and with your listeners.
You know, you mentioned something in our first segment about trip kits. When you go to, I would imagine, here's the thing. It's an honor for me. I'm very Swedish, right? I was raised Swedish. I was my whole family, that was my world, right? And I'm share my DNA. I've got like 75% Scandinavian blood in me. And so it's like, that's my world. And it's such an honor for me to share my culture with people. I love family recipes. I still do Swedish meatballs. I do all the different kinds of things, Swedish pancakes, and all the things that were things that I grew up with. I can imagine the joy that people have to share their culture. And with a trip kit that you mentioned, I can imagine that's really what this is all about, isn't it?
Well, Suzanne, this is such an exciting part. And by the way, you'll have to come with us on our Stockholm tours. But yes, we love our trip kits. Actually, it was feedback that we got from our subscribers that said, we love this, but we'd love even more immersion. So we came up with trip kits. And first we started with recipes. Each of our recipes is submitted by each of our guides, our 97
Nice.
So it's a family recipe, or it's a recipe that they have from one of the restaurants they bring us to. Can you imagine? We actually go to a bakery in Porto to see how they're making the very famous custards that they're known.
Wow.
And we have the baker who has given us this great recipe to follow.
Right.
So we try to tie this in, because who doesn't love to eat and tour at the same time?
Right, exactly. Exactly.
So we have downloadable music. And by the way, the music can be upbeat, or it can be just get you in the mood. And we always start our tours with music and slideshows and everything else to get people in the mood. But we give that music in our trip kits. We also have book recommendations so that you can do a reading group around it. You can have book club around it. Again, we want to get groups together. Movies, if you just want to have an immersion that it's either filmed in that location or it's about that location. And of course, fun facts, who doesn't love them? Maps, and we love sustainable travel. So what that place is doing in terms of sustainability and responsible travel, all that goodness.
Yay. Thank you for that.
Every single tour.
Yeah. And Susan, I think too, as we are expanding our mind and having a lot of questions, one of the things I think of is how many of us are looking forward even to make a trip. We're not necessarily, have to do it virtually, but what a great way to prepare, things to go to, things to learn about. So when you go there, it's like you already feel
Suzanne, absolutely. As a matter of fact, we call it a taste of. So for an hour or 2 hours every week, 2 different destinations, you get a taste. As a matter of fact, I'm actually leaving for Peru on Friday because of the taste of. We went to Lima.
I want your life, girlfriend.
So I'm going there. But you know what? It was never on my radar because I didn't know what to expect in Peru. Yeah. So we have probably half of our subscribers are people who are planning a trip and want to also ask questions of the guides themselves. Is there a way to get around? What's the deal with the streets? Is there a tram system? What's the best time to go? What's the weather like? You should see the questions we get. And who knows better than a local?
Yeah, exactly. Well, and I can only imagine too, like one of the questions I always ask when I've traveled is where are the places that the locals go to that aren't necessarily tourist places? What's the inside track, and I know that we're lucky here in the Pacific Northwest because we have Rick Steves that is in our backyard, right? But so we've learned a lot of that stuff. But I think the fact that you bring much more from a local perspective, I think is phenomenal. And certainly in the trip, I can imagine the positive impact on people's lives. How has that affected people?
Well, that's a great thing. You mentioned before when people look forward to things, it's exciting. When you know that later that week you're going to go to Galway or you're going to go back to London, which was a place that, inspired you years ago. It's wonderful. See how things
Yeah.
change. See what's the same. So it really, we know not only anecdotally, we've actually done surveys and we're working with two different research groups right now to see what the benefits, the benefits to wellness, and of course to curiosity, purpose, all
Mhm.
this good stuff means to people once they go on a live stream tour. They're able
Mhm.
to engage, even if you're listening to other people's questions. You don't just have to ask your own. Oftentimes there
Sure.
are questions being asked, but it's very immersive and engaging. And what
Mhm.
that level of group engagement means to wellness, to your mood. And we have a lot of anecdotal. So after we did all the anecdotal, we actually work with a research group to measure the
Mhm.
effects. We don't have all the results yet, but we're in the process right now of doing a full evidence-based research about the effects of
Mhm.
this, particularly on older adults.
Well, and I can see family caregivers sharing this with their older parent. One of the things is how do you pass the time during the day? A lot of them are trying to figure out, how do I keep mom or dad's mind active? What a great resource for families to be able to come together and learn about destinations together. Or maybe they've been there before and it's like a memory trip down memory lane. Have you found some of that?
We have, as a matter of fact, intergenerational involvement is a big deal, and
Hmm.
it gets people talking. Mom, what was it like when you went to France? Tell us about that
Yeah.
time. It inspires conversation before, during, and after the trip. And of course, the
Mhm.
trip kits also make that possible for
That is
everyone
so
to see
amazing. And
that.
of course, to have new food to cook and to have new ideas and adventures. I can see where there can be such a wonderful way. Now, you do remind me how many experiences you do a year or a month.
We do 8 or 10, depending if it's
Okay,
4
that's right.
weeks or 5 weeks. It's two every week, every Tuesday and
Wow,
Thursday.
that is incredible.
So
Now
we
I keep
cover
saying wow all the time.
104 in a year. Exactly, right? 100. Can you imagine going to 104? And by the way, we don't just go there. On June 26th, which was Global Beatles Day,
Uh-huh.
we went on a walk down in Liverpool, a walk in the Beatles' footsteps. So we try to tie
Oh,
this
how
on.
cool.
So we're going to Salem for Halloween. We're going to the Christmas markets in Europe for Christmas. So we tie this in with what's going on in the world and all sorts of celebrations.
Fabulous. And everyone, Susan and I, we are going to be right back. We at Answers for Elders thank you for listening. Did you know that you can discover hundreds of podcasts in our library on senior care? So visit our website and discover our decision guides that will help you also navigate decision making. Find us at answersforelders.com.